going to talk about blues soloing. It's almost a given, or it's assumed that you're going to play some pentatonic stuff. People come to me all the time and say, I know the pentatonic scale, I know the major scale, I know the minor scale, I need to know more. Reality is you probably don't need to know more, you probably need to know where and when to use it. The first thing to add to the pentatonic scale, now the blues scale is actually the pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic scale, A, C, D, E, G, with the flatted 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the E flat, A, B, C sharp, D, E flat. But the sound of the blues is the sound of playing the minor pentatonic scale against the major third of the A7 chord, or the dominant 7th chord. So if we say a blues, and we don't say minor, we're talking automatically about the chords A7, D7, E7, F sharp minor 7 is the 6, and B minor 7, or B minor 9 in that case as I played. Those are the chords in a blues in A. Now if we're going to play a minor blues, it's going to be different. It's going to be minor chords. Well, maybe on the 4 and the 5 it could be dominant, but we're going to play one minor. The first notes to add to the pentatonic scale to start spicing that up besides that flat 5, which is plenty. That's plenty useful. Now you don't go and sustain it over A7. That's not going to work for you. If it works for you, I'm not going to listen to it. But the chord tones are the most important notes to play over any chord. And in fact, everything should start with chord tones. And the more outside that you're going to get, the more that you should hammer the basic chord tones. 3rd, 5, 7. You should hammer those home. And you can go root 3rd, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. The more you should hammer those home for the listener to make it easier on them. So that when you start playing, the 11's a whole different story. The 11 you need to alter. We'll deal with that later. But the 9 and the 13, stuff over a blues by itself and it'll sound okay, but you have to remember to touch on the pentatonic scale to play minor pentatonic to make it sound bluesy. And in fact, any American music, blues, rock, jazz, country, you have to touch on that minor pentatonic scale for it to sound right. Now you can dress it up as much as you want, but at some point you have to go. You can do this in the middle. But it makes it sound like American music. So the first arpeggio to add, or the first notes to add, chord tones to add to that is the A7, which is the 1 chord. C sharp, E, G. The only note in that chord that is not in that scale is the C sharp. So we put the C sharp in there. That doesn't sound so cool playing it that way, but this way. Much better. blues needs to be, you need to play both of those thirds. You can add the notes of each chord. So the 4 chord, we see that there's only the D, F sharp, A, C. There's only one note that's not in that minor pentatonic scale, and that's the F sharp. So we add that note. A little word of advice: you don't want to play the C sharp over the 4 chord. You don't want to play the major third over the 4 chord. That'll create some tension. It's the major 7 of the 4 chord, whereas the 4 chord has the minor 7 or the flat 7. So we want to kind of avoid having this sound going on too much. There's a reason they make car horns out of minor seconds. That's to get your attention in a not so pleasant way. So now the 5 chord, D7, the only note, E, G sharp, B, D. Well, the B note isn't in there, and the G sharp note isn't in there. We can add those notes to that. Those notes in there eventually. I want to look at the 1 chord though first. It could be A7, A9, A13. You can start adding in the chord tones, and as far as you stack those chord tones up in thirds, you can add all those notes. So you could actually add A, C sharp, E, the flat 7, G, the 9, B, the 11, the D. Again, I'm just doing it here for lead purposes. When we get into the harmony of it, we'll start dealing with that in a different way. And the F sharp, which is the 13. And we can mix them in any way we want. The easiest way is just add that little triad. A, C sharp, E. Back to the blues after you've done that. After you do this. When you add those. You have to play the blues licks on either side of it for it to sound right. Otherwise you get this.